A warm sun hovered over the bustling downtown area as people hurried about their day. On the corner of a busy intersection, Marcus, a homeless black man in his late 30s, sat with his tattered backpack and a handmade sign that read, "Just trying to make it through the day. Anything helps. God bless." His eyes, weary but kind, observed the world rushing by without a second glance. Little did he know, his life was about to change forever. Before we continue, please hit the subscribe button, like and share this story. And do not forget to turn on the notification bell. Thank you. The traffic lights changed, and cars lined up at the signal. Among them was a sleek SUV, its windows rolled down to let in the breeze. In the back seat, a young toddler, Emily, played with her stuffed rabbit. Her mother, distracted by a phone call, barely noticed the plume of smoke beginning to rise from the hood of her vehicle. Within moments, the smoke thickened, and flames erupted. Panic ensued. Drivers honked, yelled, and scrambled out of their vehicles. The mother screamed, struggling to open the jammed door to free her daughter, but the heat was unbearable, and chaos reigned. No one dared approach the car. Marcus saw the scene unfold and sprang into action. Ignoring the searing heat, he raced to the SUV. He wrapped his jacket around his arm, smashed the window with a rock, and carefully pulled Emily out as the fire intensified. The mother sobbed with relief, thanking him profusely. Onlookers recorded the heroic moment with their phones, cheering as Marcus handed Emily back to her mother. But what began as a tale of heroism quickly took a dark turn. Hours later, videos of the rescue went viral. At first, Marcus was hailed as a hero, but as the media delved into his past, the narrative shifted. Headlines read, "Homeless man with a criminal past saves toddler, hero or opportunist?" Old mugshots from years ago when Marcus had been arrested for petty theft were plastered on every news channel. They questioned his motives, speculating if he was truly selfless or seeking attention. The media storm grew vicious, painting Marcus as a troubled man who might have endangered the child. One outlet even suggested he had staged the incident for fame. Reporters hounded him, twisting his words and portraying him as a villain. The mother, initially grateful, distanced herself from Marcus, fearing backlash and legal scrutiny. Meanwhile, Marcus found solace in a local shelter, avoiding the cameras and whispers. It was there that a young journalist, Rachel, approached him. Unlike others, Rachel was determined to uncover the truth and give Marcus a voice. She listened as he shared his story, how he had lost everything after his wife's death, how he had struggled to rebuild his life, and how, despite his circumstances, he always tried to do the right thing. Rachel's article, titled "The Man Behind the Headlines, Marcus's Story of Redemption," gained traction. It highlighted his bravery and resilience, challenging the narrative the media had spun. Public sentiment began to shift as more people rallied behind Marcus, demanding justice for how he was treated. At this, Marcus disappeared from the public eye for several weeks. Despite the media frenzy and the local community's attempts to offer their support, he remained a ghost, slipping through the cracks of the city like the shadows he had once lived in. No one knew where he had gone. Rachel, feeling a deep sense of responsibility for the way the media had initially painted Marcus, set out to find him. She knew the only way to help him clear his name completely was to find him and help him tell his side of the story on his terms. The police had dropped the investigation into the fire as soon as they found the evidence against the husband, who they thought was the perpetrator, but the damage had already been done to Marcus's reputation. His name had been dragged through the mud, and he hadn't asked for any of it. The SUV fire had been no accident. Investigators discovered evidence of tampering, suggesting foul play. The mother's estranged husband, embroiled in a bitter custody battle, had rigged the car to ignite, hoping to make her appear negligent. Weeks later, Rachel found Marcus in the most unexpected place, an old, abandoned building on the outskirts of the city. It wasn't a shelter or a community center. It was a place where forgotten souls went when they had no other place to hide. Rachel entered, hesitantly, following the dim light that flickered at the far end of the building. As she approached, she could hear the faint sound of soft music playing, a guitar strumming. She found Marcus sitting on the floor, surrounded by a few others like him, homeless people, outcasts, and those who had given up. He was teaching them to play the guitar, the same guitar he had picked up years ago when he was down on his luck. He had found solace in music. "You found me," Marcus said, without looking up. "Why?" Rachel was taken aback by his calmness, but she quickly composed herself. "Because you matter, Marcus. You're a hero, whether you want to believe it or not. You saved a child's life. You deserve to be heard." Marcus chuckled, his eyes never meeting hers. "I don't need to be heard, Rachel. I don't need any more attention. I just want to be left alone. People like me are only good when they're useful. I'm not useful to anyone anymore." Rachel sat down beside him, her heart heavy with regret. "You're wrong. You've done something extraordinary. People need to hear your story so they can stop painting you as a villain. They need to know that the media lied about you. You didn't rob that car, and you didn't have malicious intent. You acted out of pure instinct. You didn't deserve any of the hatred they've sent your way." For a long while, neither of them spoke. The only sound was the soft hum of Marcus's guitar strings. Rachel's mind swirled with the guilt, as if to say she hasn't done enough to protect Marcus, but to cause him more pain by putting out his story. The media had pushed for the sensational story of a villain about Marcus, and she wanted Marcus's voice to be heard, but now, faced with Marcus's pain and humility, she realized how deeply flawed her own view of justice had been. Suddenly, a man entered the room, his face familiar but unfamiliar at the same time. He was a reporter, someone from the media who had covered Marcus's story, but with an unfamiliar look in his eyes. He was holding a file, one Rachel hadn't seen before. He approached them and laid the file on the floor. "I think you'll want to see this," he said to Marcus. Marcus eyed the file warily before slowly picking it up. As he flipped through it, his expression changed. It was a record of the medical examiner's report on the car fire. But it wasn't the standard investigation report. This was new. The truth was, Emily wasn't supposed to have been in that car. The mother, who had initially been deemed a victim of the fire, was in fact the one who had set the blaze. She had planned to kill her daughter as part of a twisted insurance scam. She had planted evidence to make it look like a random accident, and the media had bought the story. The report had been buried, but with this new information, Rachel had a clear path to uncovering the truth, finally exonerating Marcus and showing the world the full story. But it wasn't just the fire that had hidden the truth, it was what the authorities had failed to see all along. Emily's mother wasn't a victim, she was a perpetrator. The media had painted Marcus as a villain, but the real story was far darker than anyone had anticipated. It wasn't just a simple case of mistaken heroism. It was a plot of greed, manipulation, and betrayal that ran deeper than anyone could have imagined. Marcus sat back, staring at the file. His life had just shifted once again. The idea of reclaiming his name was no longer just about personal redemption, it was about bringing justice to a child who had almost been sacrificed by her own mother. As the courtroom drama unfolded, Sarah's role in the arson was brought to light through a combination of evidence and testimony. Initially, Sarah had claimed that her estranged husband, Philip, orchestrated the entire scheme, leveraging her financial desperation to manipulate her actions. While this seemed plausible given Philip's history of coercion, the prosecution dug deeper. A pivotal moment came when Sarah's phone records were subpoenaed. While they did contain threatening messages from Philip, investigators also uncovered deleted texts and call logs that revealed she had independently researched ways to stage an accident for insurance claims. These digital breadcrumbs painted a different picture. Sarah wasn't merely a pawn, she had willingly participated in and planned the act. Moreover, forensic evidence from the car fire told its own story. Investigators found that the accelerant used to ignite the blaze was purchased with Sarah's credit card a week before the incident. Security camera footage from the store confirmed her identity, further tying her to the crime. The final blow to Sarah's credibility came during her cross-examination. When pressed by the prosecution, Sarah's demeanor shifted. Initially defiant, she eventually broke under the weight of the evidence. Tears streaming down her face, she confessed that while Philip had pressured her with threats, the decision to go through with the arson was ultimately hers. The court recognized Philip's coercive role, but the evidence against Sarah left no doubt that she had taken active steps to execute the plan. The judge delivered a scathing rebuke of both individuals, condemning Philip for his manipulation and Sarah for endangering her child and dragging an innocent man, Marcus, into their web of deceit. But things weren't over. Rachel, now an ally, used her influence to write a follow-up article, not only about Marcus's heroism, but about the woman behind the fire. The story was picked up by every major news outlet, and the truth spread like wildfire. The public's opinion of Marcus began to shift, but it didn't happen overnight. There were still whispers, still a stigma attached to his past. Some couldn't let go of the false image that had been painted of him. Marcus's redemption, though, came in a way no one could have predicted. The story not only cleared his name but also caused the downfall of those who had tried to manipulate the narrative for their own benefit. Marcus had, in the end, given more than just his heroism. He had exposed a deep-seated system of corruption and lies. Weeks later, as Marcus stood in a crowded courtroom, the judge sentenced Emily's mother and the estranged husband to prison for their crimes. The sentence wasn't just a victory for justice, it was the final chapter in a battle Marcus had fought on behalf of a little girl he had saved. And then, as the media circled to report on the outcome of the case, Marcus, once again, disappeared. But this time, he was at peace. Because even in the shadows, he knew he had done the right thing. The world, eventually, would know the truth. But sometimes, the most important part of healing isn't being recognized by others. It's knowing who you are, regardless of the lies others tell. Marcus chose to forgive those who had wronged him, focusing instead on rebuilding his life. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to Home of Stories TV. And do not forget to turn on the notification bell for more inspiring videos. Drop your comments below, let us know your thoughts.